Welcome to Vast Online. In this session, we're going to review Point of Sale Section 1. In our Google Chrome browser, we go to our website. This example, I've entered in a username and a password. Click Login. This takes us to our home screen. On the left side, we have a few commonly used items, such as Home, Point of Sale, Inventory, Reports, Accounts Receivable, and Maintenance. We'll get into some of these areas later on. We will review these in some further training sessions. Across the top, we have some other commonly used items such as pending estimates, internet appointments, messages, a quick menu, transfers if you're a multi-location company, and end-of-day notification. Across the top on the right-hand side, this tells us our user ID. In this case, I am logged in as 05371111, and my store number. In this case, my store number is 0537. On this user menu, it's going to tell me my login name, my role within the company, and from here I can change password. I have preview features and log out. Preview features allow us to take a look at some items that are maybe new from a development standpoint, whether they are from an employee level or from an organizational level. This is where we can actually switch users. And in this case, I have a handful of users that are already built in our example store here. Next item over is going to actually be our location. So if we are in a multi-location company, this is where we can actually switch back and forth between individual locations. And the next item is help and support. When I click on that, that'll take us out to a help and resources section. That will include some quick reference guides, user videos, documentation, and the other item is product updates. This will show us any type of release notes from our development team. Our first step is we're going to add a customer to our Vast Online system. First thing I'm going to click on is Customer Contact in our Point of Sale menu. And from here, I can do a multitude of searches, whether I want to search by a first name, maybe just a last name, a first and a last name, even a company name. You could search for customers within a given zip code, a state, customer's phone number, maybe the vehicle's license plate or VIN, vehicle identification number, or maybe if it's a fleet, you could search off of the fleet unit number. With any of these customer searches, I can actually add combinations. So I can add in a customer name, first and last as mentioned, and maybe a phone number. And then I can click on my search box. My search box is not available at the moment until I start to type in some information. So in this case, I'm going to search for Stephen Smith. I click on our multi-filter box, and it's going to show me that no customers are found. I'm going to click on Add Customer down on the right-hand side. And this will allow me to add in details for Stephen Smith. I can either use Tab on my keyboard to advance through to the fields, or I can use my mouse and click into the individual boxes. And if I click into my zip code box, enter in a zip code, and then hit Tab on my keyboard, it will automatically fill in a city and a state for me. From here, I can enter in the customer's contact details. I can enter in an email address. Or if the customer decides they would not like to provide an email address, you can click on this declined email option. You can add in any type of work phone numbers as well. And our default customer type is going to be retail. We have a drop-down box where we're able to further classify the customer. Maybe how they ended up hearing about us through an advertisement, whether it's coupon, drive-in, radio, so on and so on. These are all customizable. And a transaction type. Maybe it's a tire and service network, maybe it's a free of charge. In this case, we're going to leave that blank. So from our customer contact screen, we have all of our customer information entered for our new customer, but we need to add in the vehicle information. You are able to go through and choose a year, make, model by clicking on the plus box, which brings up a year, make, model selection box. Click on select, and that will fill in all the information. Another option is a VIN decoder. If we enter in a full 17-digit VIN, it will automatically decode the year, make, model, and engine for us. Enter in the VIN, and this VIN button is available for us to click on. When you click on the VIN button, that will go out to our catalog, and in this case it's telling us that that VIN is decoded over to a 2011 Ford Flex with a 3.5 liter engine. Would you like to use this vehicle? Click on yes, and that will automatically fill in the year, make, model, and correct engine size for you based off of your full 17-digit VIN. Please note this does not allow the last 8, last 10 characters of a VIN. It does need to be a full 17 character VIN. You can add in some additional information here if you would like. If you know the mileage, you can enter in the mileage right now. Or if the vehicle is in kilometers, you can click on the kilometer box. If it's a fleet unit number, you can enter that in here. Vehicle type drop-down box. We have, if it's an auto, is it stock, which would just be for a stock order perhaps, or just for customer stock? Is it a truck or a trailer? We also have a drop-down for colors, vehicle color, and license plate and state. One point to note that is that if you see a search box next to one of these fields, it will search for that information that is contained in that box. I'm going to enter in a license plate and the state. If your state keeps track of emissions inspections or vehicle safety inspections, you can enter in those dates on the inspection date or emission date fields. Or if they're not applicable, you can click on the NA box off to the side. If the customer has promised a certain date or time for the vehicle to be done, you can enter those in and a promised time. So if we have this promised to the customer by 11:30 a.m., we can enter that information in. And if the customer provides an order number for any reason, it could be a purchase order number, could be any type of information. This is a free form box that you can type in. If you want to mention why the vehicle is in for service today, we can click on the comments/forms button, and that will bring us up to our work order comments or forms. Under the available comments, we have some items that have been already defined for us. We can add in more through our maintenance if we wanted to. Or if you wanted to free form your comment and just type in some information, you're able to do that here as well. We're going to say check tires, and then we'll click on add, and that's added this over to our selected comments. You can click on save, and that will print out on the work order and also on the customer's invoice. Please keep in mind that if you do want to mention anything about the customer, maybe some items that are specific to that customer of maybe some hobbies, special interests, or even some information on the vehicle, we would not put that information here under our comments and forms. We will click on save. When we get to the document screen, that tells us that everything that we've entered information-wise for that customer and the vehicle is fulfilled all the requests and information needed to be able to continue. All right, so this is our document screen or our work order screen. So right now, up in the top right-hand corner, I wanted to point out that at this time, I do not have a work order number. We have not had one assigned until we either click on Save Work Order. Through the status box, you can go through and assign a status to this particular work order. In this example, we have completed, waiting for parts. Maybe you could add some additional items in, such as waiting for a technician. These are all customizable. If at any point that you want to get over to the customer vehicle screen, we have two hyperlinks that can get you there. Either vehicle or customer will get us over to our customer and vehicle screen or customer contact screen. Now that we added in our customer in the vehicle, if we did want to put in some information about that customer or to the vehicle that may be specific, but we don't want those to print out on the customer's work order or final invoice, we now have the option to look at vehicle profile or customer profile. Under vehicle profile, we have the option to put in some notes about the vehicle. So maybe the wheel lock key location as an example. We can put in that this ends up having the wheel lock key is in the trunk. Now this will always stay with this vehicle and the customer unless it's either modified or it's deleted. So if I click on save, now when Stephen Smith comes back in with this vehicle, we can always look and see that there's some information because the vehicle profile box has now been highlighted green. If I click on that, I can go through and see quickly that I have a wheel lock note. And if I click on that item, it's going to tell me that the wheel lock key is in the trunk. Same thing with the customer profile. If you click on customer profile, we have some items here that have been filled in for our demo system here. These are all customizable, but maybe on the parts preference, maybe they prefer OEM parts. And if I want to put in a note on that this customer only wants genuine Ford parts, click on save. And now because I've entered in a note about the customer, I also have this highlighted green. So now that can tell me that I've got some information about the customer. I can click on that. I can see I have a selected note about a parts preference, prefers OEM, and I have a note that's specific about the parts preference. If I wanted to get back over to our document screen or our work order screen, I can click on cancel, and that'll take us back over to our document screen. So in this case, the vehicle came in, it's a 2011 Ford Flex, and the customer said to check the tires. So what I can do to actually go check those, check for some availability perhaps, or some prices on tires, because maybe the customer said that the tread was low, we can actually go to our tire lookup screen. Fast Online allows you to actually look at available tires and the fitment guide through our tires button. In our tire lookup screen, we have a few options to choose from. We can enter in a size right here, and that would show me a specific size of what we have in stock, the product number. In this case, I have 10 on hand and 6 are available. Fast Online does not have a book inventory value or a screen inventory value. That's been replaced with an on hand and an available. So in this example, I have 10 of these tires underneath my roof, but I have 4 maybe sold on another work order, so that leaves 6 available for me to sell. If you don't know what size the tire that you're looking for, you can actually look up the available fitments that came on a particular year, make, model, and vehicle. If I click on our fitment button down at the bottom, that automatically brings over our year, make, and model. And in this case, it shows us all the different trims that are available and these different tire sizes. In our example, our trim is going to be an SE, which will narrow down the available tire sizes that were original equipment for that vehicle. So in this case, it's going to show me a 235/60/17. And since that's the only tire size and it's confirmed that with my technician that that is the correct size, I'm going to put a check mark next to that and then click on save. So right now, this is only showing me the tires I have with an on-hand quantity. The default is on hand. If I want to look at any tires that also include a 0 on hand that maybe exist in my product file, the include 0 on hand will then show some different options. We also have filters if you wanted to look at only maybe Goodyear tires, only Michelin tires, and a combination maybe of a speed rating. Maybe you only want to look at a T-rated tire, a tire type, and maybe a particular sales class. In this case, I'm going to look at all manufacturers and all speed ratings. Also, too, I can click on these columns, and that will show me some different options available. So it's different sorting options. Maybe it's by price, showing me the highest price ones first in this example. And I'm just clicking on these columns to actually change some of the sorting. Over on the left-hand side, we have some additional options. We've got tire color, MPP TSM promotion, maybe if it's a discontinued, or a priority. These are the tire colors. These are going to end up being all user-defined. You can actually have all these set up to maybe have Goodyear tires all be a particular color, whatever the case. Again, all user-defined. Next one over is if that tire qualifies for an MPP or a TSM promotion. If that were the case, we'd see a little dollar symbol, which then you could go through and click on that and actually bring up a copy of that rebate form. Next one over is discontinued. Maybe that tire is marked as discontinued, but maybe you have some in your store and you want to make sure that you get rid of those first before maybe selling something that's more of a newer model. Or if there's a priority. So these can be marked as a priority product line. Maybe it's part of your core stocking strategy, whatever the case. Again, these are user defined, so you can choose any of those in your setup. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top, and the tires I have in stock are going to be the best ones. If you want to do a comparison, though, of maybe this and also maybe a Comfort Tread Tour, because the customers maybe heard something a little bit about those tires, you can click up to 3 different product lines. I can click on up to 3 and actually compare these tires together. You could do 1, you could do 2, but you can only do 3 at the max. So this will give you some information about those tires, maybe the warranty, maybe the speed rating, but also too, you can actually send a copy of this back over to your customer if you were talking with them on the phone. So maybe I want to change the quantity to 4. I can click on this print preview button, and that'll bring up a comparison of those particular tires. Package price, out the door pricing. You could print this out. As this is a print preview box, you can click on print if you did want to print it out. Or if you just wanted to shoot an email over to that customer, you can actually type in that customer's email address, click on email, and that will send a copy of this print preview over to that customer. I'm going to go ahead and click on cancel, and I'm going to sell, or at least give a quote for this Assurance All Season. When I click on this line, it will also show me some out-the-door pricing for this particular tire. So right now, I have a quantity of 1. The price of the tire itself is $114.88, but an out-the-door price for that 1 tire would be $159.77. Please note this does not include sales tax. Now the difference is it's going to be, we've got a consumer tire disposal fee, we've got a wheel spin balance, a valve stem or a TPMS rebuild, and we also have a road hazard that's been calculated on the sell price off of that tire. If we want to see what the price for 4 would be, we have $639.09, and if I choose 4, that will actually sell 4 tires, 4 installs, 4 road hazards, everything back over to our work order. There's some additional items that can be configured to also include on your out-the-door pricing. Down on the bottom left below the out-the-door price box, we have some additional options. Maybe we want to charge for a 2-wheel alignment or a nitrogen fill. Maybe the customer's requested that nitrogen fill. We can add that on by clicking Add, and that will add that line item on to our work order. Also too, if I want to check how much money that I would be making on that particular product, down on the bottom I can click on GP or gross profit, and that adds 2 additional columns into our tire lookup grid, cost and gross profit. So in this case, it's showing on this Assurance All Season, my sell price for the tire is going to be $114.88. My cost is $85.83, giving me my gross profit of $29.05 per tire. This may be a couple of columns that we don't want to have available for our customers to view. So if I click on GP again, that will actually hide the cost and the gross profit columns. So I've got 4 tires selected. If I click on Save, that's going to transfer my 4 tires, my installation package, my road hazard, and also it's asking me about my road hazard warranty plan. So in this case, we already quoted the customer. If we had maybe some different types of plans available, we could have those appear in our drop-down box. We'll click on decline so that way we can actually show the customer that we offered that road hazard to them, but they declined to actually purchase it. And we'll click on save. So on the right side, we have a breakdown of our total charges. We have products of $516.87, labor of $56 for a subtotal of $572.87, our combined taxes of $38.67. And this little drop-down arrow will actually show how much we are actually charging in state, county, city, transit tax if applicable, and what that taxable dollar amount is. So our subtotal plus our tax gives us a total of $611.54. If the customer has put on any deposits, we could actually see those here. And it shows us a remaining balance of $611.54. So one piece to note, we did actually decline that road hazard. The customer didn't want to pay for it. So what ended up happening is our declined product box is highlighted in a green with a quantity of 1. So again, the customer declined road hazard itself. But if I want to go through and actually sell that back over to the work order or even see what was declined, I can click on the declined product box. And that'll show us road hazard warranties were actually declined by that customer. Any declined service products, whether it's a parts, labor, a tire, an inspection, road hazard in this example, they will always stay with that customer until either the work has been marked as completed or we actually will sell that back over to a work order, maybe even at a different time. So if I want to add that back on, I can click on that box or click on select all, click on save, and it's going to ask me what type of road hazard I want to actually have back on here. So my basic, and here's my basic road hazard plan. And it's going to ask me what I want to link that back over to. And I'm going to say I want to link that plan back over to my tires. So now it came back as a basic road hazard plan of $9.99 each. And again, I'm selling 4 of those. So that's no longer a declined product. It shows a 0, and this button is not backlit in green anymore. So based on our work order here, we looked up our tire, and we had our associated products come on with that tire. Our associated products are anything that we want to have go along with the sale. So in this case, like for our tire, we've got our disposal fee, maybe if there's any state tire fees, mountain balance, TPMS rebuild, anything that you want to include in your services. So for oil changes, they could also be maybe an oil disposal fee, a filter disposal fee, anything that you want to actually have come along with an item that you sell can be configured to actually pop on to the work order through our associated products. So if I want to save this work order, again, we do not have a work order number right now, but if I want to actually save this because a customer has okayed the 654.20, I can do a couple different things. I can click on Save Work Order, and that will just save what you're seeing here on the screen, and it's not going to prompt for any printing or anything like that. Some other options that we do have are going to be under the Finish button. When I click on Finish, I have Save Work Order, Save and Preview if I wanted to print a copy out, or maybe I wanted to create an appointment or create and preview that appointment. We'll cover appointments in a later section. But if I want to click on Save and Preview Work Order, maybe I want to print a copy of that out for my technician. So I have a copy that's printing right now, but before it prints, it's going to ask for some prompts. These can be defined by the company setup, but in this case, it's asking if I wanted to preview the vehicle service history report. In this case, I'm just going to click on our little toggle here, which will turn that one off. We can also have some additional items pop up as well. Again, those are all custom defined. So I have it set up to automatically print out a copy of our Technician Assist Guide. This gives us some information such as rotor discard limits, drain plug torque, any specific items about that vehicle. You could click on print if you wanted to, or I'm just going to click on cancel. And here is a copy of my work order. So it gives us our work order number up here at the top, my store information here in the middle. Here are the items that we've sold from our document screen. So these are the items that the technician will know to actually install on the vehicle and give us an estimated total. We could email this off if we wanted to, or click on print again. Click on cancel. That'll return us back over to our home screen. To recall a customer's work order, we have a couple of different options. We have a finalized work order box down here at the bottom of our home screen. And anytime you end up seeing the little pencil icon off to the side, you can click on that, and that'll take you right back over to our customer's work order. So here's all the items we sold previously, the work order number. I'm just going to click on save again to get back to our home screen to look at another way to actually recall any type of work orders. Another way to recall any open work orders for national accounts, retail customers, is actually going to be up at the very top in our horizontal bar, and it's labeled Quick Menu. If I click on Quick Menu, I can get over to my Outstanding Work Orders button. And I have a few different options on what I'm looking for, whether it's for any work orders that have a deposit, an appointment, anything that's a national account. You can pull up the work order based off of either the work order number, the date when it was created, the customer name, outside purchase order. Again, we have a multi-filter search box here, so I can use a combination of any one of these items. The default is to look at work orders. Maybe I want to look only at quotes. And I have these time options, whether quotes created today, yesterday, the last 7 days, last 30 days, so on and so on. If I want to look at work orders from the last 30 days, these are all of our work orders that we have in the last 30 days with our date and promise times. So to get back into my work order, I can actually click on our pencil icon over here on the side. If I want to just do a quick look at this, I can click on Print Preview down at the bottom, and that will give me our same prompts that we have for our Vehicle Service History Report. Here's my Tech Assist Guide. Here's a copy of my work order, no different than if I printed it out for our technician. If I want to take a deposit on this work order, I can click on Deposit down at the bottom. I only have the one terminal, so I'm going to click on Select. And that'll bring me over to a method of payment screen. From here, if the customer wanted to put down, let's say $100 cash, I can go through here on the payment type and say that it was cash, and the amount remitted is going to be default to the full amount owed. But you can type in over that. In this case, I'm going to say it's $100. Through Vast Online, you can actually do multiple payment types all against one invoice. So if the customer wanted to put down $100 cash, and then maybe a check for $250, you can apply multiple payments back over. If I click on Save, it's going to ask me, in this case, for some check details. What was the check number? The check number is 1458, and my authorization number back from my bank. Click on Save. And now I applied a deposit against a work order. I'm going to go back up to our outstanding work orders because I did want to show you a difference on something. So right now we do have our work order from today, and it shows Stephen Smith. Maybe if you only want to look at some work orders that actually have deposits, you can actually click on Deposit, and you can see that exact same work order too. So if you can look at work orders either way, but if you only want to look at work orders that have deposits, this is where you would only see Stephen Smith's from today. So I want to get back into this work order, and we can see that all of those payments that we processed against it, the cash payment and then the check payment, shows that we had $350, so that leaves a remaining amount of $304.20. There's a few ways to look up some additional items, so let's just say that the customer actually wanted to go through and have an oil change. I've actually created my oil change packages, so underneath my Packages button, that will bring up a list of all different types of packages. So you can see we've got quite a few here that are built into our system. Maybe if you want to only look at LOF packages, this package product group, you can click on that and go back over to our oil change services, and that would only show us services related to oil changes So in this case, customer wanted to go with our Platinum oil change service. And if I click on select, what it'll do is it's going to throw some additional items that we call Bang products back out onto our work order. Now these Bang products are basically, they're placeholders for items within the system to actually go out and go look in a catalog and return back those specific items or those specific parts for that vehicle. As an example, so we use exclamation point oil that was part of our package build. So it's going to tell me that, well, for this 2011 Ford Flex, that the recommended viscosity without a turbocharger is going to be a 5W20. So I'm going to choose a 5W20, and I click on select down in the bottom right hand corner. It's going to ask, which 5W20 oil do you want to choose? So it's going to show my available quantities. And again, because this is not book or a screen, this is how many I can actually sell, how much I have available. So the customer went with the Platinum, so that's going to be our synthetic. I'm going to click on select. It's going to go back through and say, well, for this vehicle, how many quarts does it take? Click on select. You're selling more than your base of 5 quarts. Do you want to sell those extra quantity and or add that price back over to our work order? I'm going to click on yes. And what that'll do is sell that extra half quart back over to our work order. So the next item is going to end up being our oil filter. Again, I've got it set up to tell me what particular oil filter this vehicle takes. So what this will do is it's going to go back over to our V-item broker. So I stock K&N filters, and it shows I've got a couple of different options, an HP 2011 or a PS 2011. It's going to give me my per car quantity, my price, and how many I have available. I've got more of these PS 2011s on the shelf than what it's showing here, so I'm going to go ahead and use a little checkbox, and then I'm going to click on Post to move that back over to my work order. So this is saying the per car quantity is 1. How many are you going to be selling? We're going to be selling the 1, and we just want to post it. So on my oil change package, previously I had just a Bang oil, and it went back through the catalog and said it should be a 5W20, and then how many quarts should this vehicle take? So it came back at 5.5 quarts. And then I ended up having it go through and saying, what is the oil filter? So this originally was a Bang oil filter, and it went back out through the catalog and showed that I had a PS 2011. Granted, it shows I have an available now of -2. It was -1 before, but I've sold another one, so this can actually allow me to sell to a negative quantity if I wanted to. This oil change was set up one way. There are multiple ways you can set up oil changes, so please talk with your implementation consultant for further information. So the technicians come back and mention that there was some edge wear on the front tires before putting on the new tires, and is recommending that an alignment would be done. There's a handful of ways of adding in items, whether it's going to be through packages, maybe through a catalog, but also too, if anything that you have set up in the system, you can actually define those as a special product. Maybe those are things that you want to have quick access to. So in this example, as I mentioned, the technicians come back, said there was some edge wear on the front tires. So let's go ahead and do an alignment on that as well. If you've got special products being used in your system, you can actually click on our line item button over here on the left-hand side, and that'll give us a flyout menu of some different options. We've got special products, V-tire, and product adjustment. We'll cover V-tire and product adjustment in a later class. But if I want to look on my special products, I can go through here and take a look at anything that we have, maybe under alignment services, brake services, filters. These are all customizable. But of course, on this one, we wanted to go back over and actually sell an alignment to that customer. So here we've got a computerized 4-wheel alignment, including a rear adjust, and it sells for $89.99. So if I wanted to add this back over to our work order, I can click on this line item. And if there was something that maybe I wanted to sell multiple of, this quantity box allows us to go through and update any quantities that we're actually going to sell. Of course, it's an alignment. We're only going to sell one of them, but I just wanted to point out that you're able to go through and update the quantity before you actually sell it back over to your work order. Click on Save, and that has brought over our computerized four-wheel alignment. So the work's been finalized. We still have our payments of $350 because we ended up selling our computerized four-wheel alignment. That's increased our remaining amount due of $479.30. So at this point, if the customer's vehicle is complete and we're ready to invoice, we can click on Invoice and Preview, or you could click on Finish, and you have Invoice, and Preview options as well. I'm just going to go with the Invoice and Preview. So as part of my invoicing process, I may have some questions that actually pop up or some items that will at least be a notification. So in this case, it's showing that I've got some products on this document with a zero cost. Click OK to accept. Just a notification more than anything. So if I click on OK, these are now part of what we call user requirements. These are all completely definable, and whether you want them set up at a certain time throughout the intake process, the invoice process, you can set up any of these. So one of the things that we have up at the top is it's showing us user requirements that we need to assign technicians to these lines. So the default is for all rows. So if you had a particular technician that did all work on that, you can choose all rows, select that technician. In this case, it's going to end up being 65091. Click on select, and that automatically put 65091 technician on every single line item. You also have the availability to go through and say that maybe it's by a particular sales class. So if they only did an oil change, you could go through and say that it was employee 103. What that did was that updated anything related over to our oil change over to 103. So each one of those lines, you're able to go through and choose a lot of different ways to assign technicians to a particular work order. Some other options too would be by product, where you could go through and choose one line at a time if you wanted to. So I'm going to keep my technicians as I have them right now. If I think I have everything entered in, if I click on Save, it's going to go back out and say, well, these are some of the other items that are required as part of our user requirements. So it brought over all of our vehicle information here, but the one thing it's asking for is going to end up being in these red boxes. So in this case, I need to put in my mileage. And if I have it set up to automatically populate my out mileage, it'll bring that over. Maybe I went out on a test drive just to make sure everything was okay with the alignment, and I had added a couple miles to that. You can actually update that out mileage as well. Click on Save. So another thing it's asking for is going to be our DOT numbers. And because I've sold some tires, the system knows that you need to add in a DOT for that. I'm going to paste in my first DOT number. If that same DOT is used on other tires, I can click on Repeat and repeat all the way down. Maybe this one tire was actually made on the 40th week of 2015. I can update that. Click on Save. And if I have any other additional user requirements that are necessary, those would pop up right now. And I get to our method of payment screen. So it automatically has kept our deposits of $100 cash, $250 in check. And maybe the customer is going to end up paying the remaining balance due of $486.02 by a credit card. This would launch my EPX credit card terminal. Click on Save. And here is a copy of my invoice. It gives the customer information up here at the top, vehicle information in the middle, and then the items that were actually sold. So we had over 4 tires, 3 of those with one DOT number and another with a different DOT number. Then all the other items that we ended up selling back over to the customer. Taxable amount, invoice total, different deposits. At this point, if I wanted to print a copy of this, I can click on the printer icon at the top, or if I wanted to email a copy, I can just click on email and that will send it over to the customer. And that concludes our point of sale section 1.